Hello, everyone. This is Jules with Starcaster Radio, and I have Barbara, Naomi, and Erica with us today. And we are just extending a big, huge hug to all of you as we step onto the New Earth platform, Creating Heaven on Earth. And we are going to start today with Barbara reading from the Keys. Thanks, Barbara.
Hello, how is everybody today? I hope everybody is well and excited for a new day. I know I am. From the Keys. I opened up the Keys as we normally do without any idea in mind what the subject matter would be, and this is what came out. Yet the souls which were unable to ascend to the Adam Kadmon overself at the end of this eon were cut off by greater heavenly fire than death itself. This is the fire of Hades, set aside for the souls who have judged themselves unworthy of etherical service to the Father by their many consciousness incarnations. For these souls have previously been given the opportunity to overcome death through faith, service to mankind, and the realization of the mysteries of the kingdom of God. And I saw upon the planet 4 types of nemesis converge: food shortage, deadly plague, wild beast, and wars. These ravaged man as a karmatic penalty for his sin against one of the 4 elements known as earth. The righteous were witnessing to these of the wickedness were also destroyed, for they were not in the regions of the safety protected by the Merkabah of light. However, these righteous died a temporary death under the altar of the temporary fire, knowing that they will be resurrected into God's house of many mansions. And when he opened the 5th seal, I saw underneath the altar the souls of those slaughtered because of the word of God, and because of the witness work that they used to have. And they cried with a loud voice, saying, "Until when, sovereign Lord, holy and true, are you refraining from judging and avenging our blood upon those who dwell on the earth?" And a white robe was given to each of them, and they were told to rest a little while longer until the number also filled, also of their fellow slaves and brothers who were about to be killed as they also had been. And I saw how the saints and the martyrs were gathered within the different garments of energy, so that the ministry of light could be completed with the proper numbers of teachers and masters necessary for the ascension of the universe. Thus the souls that are asleep in death, until the number of perfect souls is reached, are like hairs upon the head that must be numbered before the crown of light can be worn. And it goes on. I think I'm going to skip forward. It talks about the seals and kind of gives a layout of some disasters that is going to come to the earth that is necessary for the fulfillment of the new earth. And it seems to be describing a pole shift, is what it sounds like. But let me skip forward here. I saw the solar system leave its magnetic dip and be displaced from its alignment with what man calls the North Star. This occurred as it entered an electromagnetic vacuum. And I saw how the solar system was given a new circumpolarity with a new North Star. Thus, the Father's will prevailed, and the solar system was taken beyond the spontaneous collisions of particles and placed on a true latitude attuned to his cosmic will. And a new scroll was given to the earth so that it could go into a new heavens, where a new mantle was given unto the earth, and the new species clothed in a body of light. For after the heavens were rolled up, I saw a new scroll, which is the blueprint for the new constellation, And as the scroll was unrolled, there unfolded a new heavens and a new earth. And I saw how the new heavenly vibrations reestablished the boundaries of the 12 planets in the Earth's solar system. However, the 12 planets were placed within a new program of many heavens, so that as the Earth's intelligence ascended into new energy body, it was able to live with many other matter energy intelligences and indwell in constellations of 2 or more physical suns. I think I'm going to stop there and possibly save the rest of this for another time, because that's quite a lot of information. But it is really validating information, I think.
Barbara, can you give us the page number?
Sure. Let's see, it's page 411, and I read partial of 412. And I started with verse 65 and ended with verse 79.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Julie, did you want to start? Sorry, I was on mute. I'm like, why aren't they hearing me? My bad. Let's have Erica go into the astrology now.
Yeah, and what I loved, Barbara, how when you started with the Keys of Enoch, you said it was dark, but it's not dark. What's fascinating is that on Sunday, October 13th, we have the full moon, which is known as the hunter's moon. And a lot of what you were reading starting in verse 65 sounded a lot like hunting. And so I thought it was just kind of appropriate that this is the full moon that we're coming up upon. So for everyone listening, on Sunday, October 13th, it'll start at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, or for us on the Pacific, 2:10 our time in the afternoon. The full hunter's moon is going to be the only moon in October, in the month of October, that will stay in the sky from dusk to sunrise. And so the full moon in the month of Libra will be 20 degrees in Aries, which may bring intense and challenging emotions that trigger a personal or relationship crisis, but that's just going to give us an opportunity to transform, to grow, and to find happiness. So this full moon falls under the constellation Andromeda, which actually promotes love and reconciliation. And similar to that new moon that we experienced on September 28th, this astrological energy continues to bring us love and good fortune. So for everyone out there, love and good fortune, love and abundance. Since the hunter's full moon falls in this month of October, it's ruled by Libra, which is scales and represents balance. So we're going to continue to focus on home and family and relationships, and more specifically like a work-home balance versus what you need, and even within relationships in your own life, and also your own internal tensions versus pleasure to relieve those tensions. So prior to the energy of the full moon, these opposing forces may have maybe drained you and drained your energy, or you kind of exhausting, but now you're going to get a burst of energetic strength and intuition to overcome any of these imbalances and opposing challenges that we're going to surface in the next couple weeks. So know that we're always going to have duality and opposing forces. So where there's challenge, there's also going to be opportunity. And so that's the way to embrace any kind of resistance that you're experiencing. So what this full moon, this hunter full moon, asks of us is to go inside and listen to what your inner voice, your intuition, and your guidance is telling you, because now it's going to be easier to hear and to connect to and to feel over these next couple weeks. So it's a good time for your subconscious to eliminate your bad habits or behaviors. And by doing so, you're going to have positive transformation of your emotions. So it's a really good time to be open and optimistic with yourself. So the more honest and open you are, and with yourself and those around you, you will expand more in your own power and personal shift that'll get you to different levels of spiritual and professional growth. So this whole expansion is just going to take you to the next level. So it's very subtle, but it's very, very powerful. So for everyone on this journey, just breathe it in and enjoy the ride.
I love it. And I think I'm already experiencing so much of what's in there. the thing that really stuck out to me was the just relationships, because I feel as though my relationships with others have just been, I don't know what word, maybe more active or just more energy around them this past week, and in a way that I can't really describe how it is, but it's just different. Did you want to talk a little bit about that, Naomi, or do you want to share your experience or kind of what we were talking about earlier?
Well, I just had a really interesting experience from a really good friend of mine who wanted to get together. And so she said, pick a day and I will invite other people out on whatever day is good for you. So we picked Friday. So anyways, we were going to get together at this family entertainment center. And so I called her and I'm like, well, what would you like to do? Do you want to go to the restaurant part? Do you want to go to the bowling part? Do you want to go where they have the band? And anyways, let's just make a plan, because we invited 5 other different families with us. And anyways, it was so interesting because she was saying, I don't really understand the words you're trying to tell me. So it was funny because we had a little bit of a hard time communicating with each other. So we got off the phone, and then she called me later. And anyways, what was so funny is we really wanted to spend time together. It was just kind of hard to communicate and make plans. So it was almost like we were meeting in a frequency, but we weren't quite sure where to meet in the middle. And I would have thought she was a little bit upset with me because she was kind of frustrated with me when she couldn't understand, but I knew she was planning all this around my schedule, so I didn't take it personal. And so we ended up making a plan, and we had 5 other families come, and we had the most wonderful time ever. And we just kind of let it go, but we did have some moments where it was just hard to communicate.
And I think that is kind of the same experience I've had, not so much of not being able to communicate, but just communication is, at least for me, because my tendency is to kind of lower my frequency in order to be a part of a group of people, because, I think we all can have this experience of having relationships with people that, I don't want to say they're more third dimensional, but we don't talk freely about the stuff that we would talk to, let's say with the group of people that are on the call today. And so in this last week, though, what I've noticed is maybe I'm not talking as much, but I'm able to hold my frequency. And so what that's doing with the people that I'm surrounded with is that it's creating I don't want to say friction, but it's creating an energy. And it's not necessarily uncomfortable or comfortable. I'm just noticing it, because what I've decided for myself is that I'm not going to lower my frequency anymore, and that, I always preach, we're here to hold our frequency, and that's what we're here to do regardless of the outcome. And so I'm really stepping into my power and into my own words on what that means. And it's been really fascinating just watching the energy patterns shift. And like I said, I don't necessarily notice anything different, but there's a different feeling to the interactions. And I'm trying to think if I can think of an example, but let me just think about it for a minute. Did you want to take over from there, Naomi?
Well, I just love how you're articulating this, and I think that's what was happening in my experience also, is I was really just tuning into my home frequency, and I just kept my frequency at this certain level that was really comfortable for me. And I think what was great about my friend and I is I didn't judge, my frequency, and she didn't judge hers. We just kind of agreed to, let's talk in a little bit. And then it just really all worked out. But we were both super true to ourselves.
Well, and I just want to add that a lot of times, like especially being a mom and having a family, it's important that women hold their own frequency, right? And Julie, you said it so perfectly where you would lower your frequency to match those around you. And I think sometimes when people do that, they start to feel invisible. So whenever somebody has that, like, oh, I'm not being seen or being heard, where's your frequency at? Are you dropping down to try to be seen and be heard? Because the second you step into your own frequency and not take it personal if there's some kind of friction or just discomfort, maybe not bad or not good, just different, it's okay. Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to step into our power and own our energy and own our frequency, and that's how we hold the space to rise up. So important because a lot of times miscommunication isn't necessarily always by words. It's just a mismatch in frequency.
Wow. Oh, perfect, Erica. That is so perfect. And I notice a lot of times I'll just kind of be like a chameleon in the group and just kind of like almost try to be invisible just to blend in. But it is so exhilarating to recognize it and to step into your power and really just tune in to your home frequency.
Yes, and I'd like to add too, I think. Sorry.
Go ahead, Barbara. Go ahead.
Excuse me. I think that it's important also to recognize that in order to be a light, it's important that we do stand in our frequency that we're comfortable in our power, because that also demonstrates to those who are around us that maybe are not in at that level of frequency, whatever that is. It gives them the blueprint. It gives them the power and it shows them that they can step their energy up and their frequency up. And that is what we're here to do, not to drop down and so much to a lower frequency, but to bring those around us up to a higher frequency. And then we will also notice, I think, then after we do that there's others around us that are pulling us up as well. So it's like a domino effect.
Yes, absolutely. So it was funny, this weekend my daughter came up from Boulder and we were at a tournament of my other daughters, and we decided to take a little break and go for a walk around the lake that was right there. And as we were walking around, we were just talking, and and we were both just in this place of like extreme joy. It was just this really exhilarating conversation. And our frequency is so high, I almost forgot that where we were walking and what was going on around us, because we were just, so connected in what we were saying to each other. And she kind of had her back turned, like she wasn't really walking backwards, but a little bit. And it was funny, we were on the bike trail, and there was a woman that was standing in the middle of the bike trail. But neither one of us was paying attention. And then, like, all of a sudden, I could feel an energy shift. And I looked ahead of us, and I realized my daughter was about to just run right into her. Like, we didn't even see her. But what's funny is that she didn't see us either. And so our frequencies are on such a different level that we didn't even see each other. And they did. They ended up, my daughter ran right into her, and we were both like, what happened? But I just think that, even on a physical level, frequency shifts are happening to where we're not even seeing people that aren't resonating in our frequencies at times unless there's an interaction.
That's right.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Well, talking about frequency and not being able to see or almost feel invisible, I think that is just a prerequisite. Yes, my tongue's not working either. To us moving into that other dimension or other higher level of our body. In other words, transforming. That I have noticed something else too, like what's happening right now. Sometimes I can't articulate words. I know what I want to say, but I can't articulate it. I find myself not being able to express myself. I know what I want to say in my head, but it's like I want to think it. I just want to think it. I don't want to talk it, which is unusual for me because I like to talk. But anyhow, if you know what I'm saying, it's like I'm tired of talking. I just want to express myself through telepathy, I guess you would say. Have y'all had any kind of experiences like that?
Well, I think that's just the importance of the frequency has nothing to do with the words. Like what we're communicating has nothing to do with the words and everything to do with the vibration. So I completely resonate with that because I don't want to talk either. I just want to feel it and trust that those around me feel it, and then that's all that needs to be said.
Yeah, right. But it's sort of disconcerting.
I also think that sometimes, like, what we have to say, that by putting it into words, it just takes away from the frequency of where it's coming from. So it's like there's this barrier of, well, I have this expression of frequency that I want to share with somebody else, but I don't necessarily want to share it through words because the words will lose part of the frequency of what it is that I'm sharing. And so it kind of creates a little bit of a block there because that the expression of like I want to share it telepathically. Well, I think that there's a lot of truth to that because through telepathic communication, you don't lose any of the vibration through words.
Yes, like a misunderstanding or not being able to express the words in a way that person gets the full meaning of what you're trying to say, the essence of what you're trying to say. And it's really, words are really a very, I don't know the word, here I go. It's not being, it doesn't express what you're really trying to say. And so I think that's an important thing to bring up, to having to do with some transformation that's happening where maybe other people are having the same experiences and they're thinking, what's wrong with me? I can't even talk anymore. And so, yeah, that's what I wanted to bring forward.
Well, how about what if we practice right now and we all step onto the New Earth platform and we all just connect to our star frequency into the new earth, and just to put on that crown of light that they were talking about in the Keys of Enoch.
Yes.
And the crown of light actually can reprogram our brain for a higher vibration of words, like that we can communicate through a higher vibration.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you.
And Naomi, I know we've had a lot of experiences where we'll be talking, and if somebody out on the outside of us just listening to our conversation, they would be like, well, that was an unusual conversation, but it wasn't like we were really saying anything. But then on another level, we're having a conversation that is so beyond words, but we are still able to communicate. So I think it's both. I think that it's reaching that frequency, like you were just saying, and communicating, because at that point the words take on a multidimensional level, and what's trying to be communicated is, but just not through the words.
The frequency.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I felt like that the words were insufficient to describe what it was I was trying to express.
So let's make it a practice that, when those situations happen, and it would be amazing to be able to do this every time we we speak, to just be impeccable with our words. I think that's one of the 4 agreements, but is that our words hold the frequency of where we're resonating with the meaning behind the words, or the expression of our intent behind the words, and just play with that and see how our conversations shift this week.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I love it.
Just another level of just being, really conscious of what frequency we're really sharing with, even just, day-to-day conversations when you wouldn't really think so much about the frequency that we're relaying. But if we make every opportunity a conscious opportunity of frequency through words, like, that's just a whole nother level of consciousness. I think it's fun.
It feels so good. Like, my heart is expanding just listening to you describe that.
Well, I'm excited to do it. I love
too.
playing with this kind of stuff because it's always, I've always been an energy reader. That's how I've lived my whole life. And so just like recognizing fluctuations and different patterns is something that I just do daily anyways. But this is kind of bringing in another level of it because it's something where I have to connect fully to where my frequency is. So it's, it's really easy to read the energy that's going on around you all the time. But it's a whole nother thing to expand that energy from the frequency of where you're coming from, because really what it does is it takes away the separation. It brings it fully into oneness.
It also feels like it's going to be an exercise that will help open our mind into communication beyond words.
Absolutely.
Yes, I agree.
Which is where we're headed.
Yes. Yes, it's perfect.
I know it'll be funny. There'll be a day where we'll be broadcasting and nobody will say anything. We'll just be broadcasting the energy.
We'll be floating, vibing high. You get a chuckle here, a big smile there, and nothing saying anything.
All you hear is
already what we're doing. Like, it's really about the frequency. It's just our words kind of deliver that.
Absolutely. And I think that is one of the reasons that listening to, whether it's a podcast or a show like this or a telesummit, whatever it is, people are resonating more with that kind of communication versus, let's say, the TV, because the TV it takes you outside of yourself, versus listening to something, you're truly just resonating in the frequency of the words, because there isn't anything that's pulling you outside of yourself. And I think that, it's just so new earth to broadcast frequency versus, TV. I just think it's so fascinating to see how the evolution of humanity is really switching to higher frequency living just by listening to broadcasts versus watching TV. Totally different frequencies.
It is.
Right.
And as we stand on...
Excuse me, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, when you watch TV, it's an escapism. You're going outside of yourself. And when you listen to something like a podcast or something that's elevating your frequency, you go within. And it's within where the real information is and where the real focus is. So, yeah, I think we're transforming from escapism into going within.
The journey into the God particle, Julie.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, Well, I tell you what.
Did you want to say something, Erica?
I was just going to say for Naomi, like, we can ask, as we stand on the New Earth platform, ask the Council of Light to give us an enhanced delivery system that takes communication and frequency to the next level.
That's good, yes. I like that.
Oh, I love that, too.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yes.
Like, put your fingers over your throat chakra and just, like, witness the enhancement.
Mm.
When you said that, Naomi, I all of a sudden had this like string of energy that was kind of going up and around my head, and then it goes through my heart and get down around my maybe my root chakra, almost like an infinity sign or like the 8 sign, and then like as we're expanding that frequency coming in of raising our voice to the frequency of our words to the frequency of our resonance, I could feel my heart like kind of like almost expanding up into my throat.
Wow, it's beautiful. What I found is that it was a vibration in my throat as I touched it, my throat chakra. I felt this vibration, and then I saw a beautiful, I would call it not purple, but a red violet light in my third eye. So it definitely felt like there was a connection between my throat chakra, my third eye, and beyond.
I love it.
We're really tuning in to our home frequency.
And for me, that is
to
so
be home.
Free. Yeah.
Well, I think I'm like in zone out mode. I'm just like, okay, the frequency's too high now.
Yes, it's like I'm not wanting to speak anymore.
Well, Barbara, do you want to go ahead and do our closing for today?
Sure. Okay. Center yourselves. I'm feeling the experience of moving into the new earth, into our new light bodies, enjoying the experience, and keeping the understanding that we need to also live in the now and not look beyond, but just be aware that it is important to focus in the now and experience all the different new energies and vibrations and frequencies that are coming our way, acknowledge them, and move in unison with that frequency. I'm wishing you all a beautiful and pleasant day, and until we meet again, love you all.
That was so beautiful, Barbara.
Thank you, Barbara. And namaste. Sending you all big hugs.
So much love.